What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of Easy on My Eagles. As always, I'm your host, Rudy Cardona, here to talk about the amazing Eagles and NFL-related news week by week every Friday. Let's start today by talking about the NFL coaching situation that's going on with Chip Kelly and the new possible head coach, Doug Pederson, the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. First of all, let's talk about Chip Kelly just to get him out the way and off my fucking team. Chip Kelly is going to go to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, what do I think about this situation? I think it's fucking nuts. I mean, I don't give a shit anymore, but at the same time, you got to look at it. We're talking about the San Francisco 49ers, the same team that got rid of Jim Harbaugh after a couple winning seasons and a Super Bowl appearance. And he was an offensive-minded coach and a hard guy to get along with the players. So you're telling me that the best thing the 49ers could do was pick up Chip Kelly, put him in the same situation that Jim Harbaugh was in, and hope that Chip Kelly's going to have a better relationship with the 49ers players than fucking Jim Harbaugh did? You got to be fucking kidding me. If anything, Chip Kelly's probably jumping on the opportunity just because Colin Kaepernick is still on the team and he'll have that actual running quarterback he never had with us in Philly. So when he does his read option fucking offense, and I don't give a fuck what he says, that's the read option offense. He says, we're not in the read option. We're just in the shotgun all the time. Fuck that. He has Colin Kaepernick now. Colin Kaepernick can use his legs. But the fucking problem is, and will always be, is Colin Kaepernick cannot see the field. I don't give a damn what you say. This man gets more yardage running the ball than he does throwing the ball. This man can't see shit out there. And, I mean, I guess it'd be a great opportunity. You got Anquan Bolden and Torrey Smith on the outside who are great receivers. And Anquan Bolden comes down with everything. That's one of my favorite wide receivers in the NFL game right now. So that's awesome. But I think this is a mistake. I think the 49ers are extremely desperate to show that they still have that ability, especially after Jim Tomsula fucked up the team. I wouldn't even say he fucked up the team. He was put into a bad situation being placed on that team. But putting Chip Kelly there, and Chip Kelly wants to come out and openly say, you know, I'm just going to stick to coaching. I shouldn't have did the general manager thing. It took away from my focus. Man, fuck you. Like, it's just not going to work. I don't care. You can try and have Colin Kaepernick, but he's not going to be your prototypical quarterback that you want on your team for your system. On top of that, the fucking 49ers organization, the fact that they were getting rid of Jim Harbaugh after a couple years of winning seasons, like, what the fuck does that say about Chip Kelly's presence there? Like, they probably just hope that he produces extremely well on offense and that'll carry them into a competitive nature. You took Chip Kelly out of the NFC East, one of the weakest of it. Now, actually, it probably is the weakest division in the NFC, and that fucking sucks to say because, you know, the Eagles are in there. But you took him out of the weakest to put him in the strongest in the NFC West, where he's going to be fucking versing the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals. We're talking about three of the best defenses probably in the NFL today. And he ain't going to be competing with the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, fucking that team is just on point. The Seahawks, come on. They're going to tear apart that offense like crazy. Not to mention, the fucking 49ers defense is just whack as hell. I mean, Bill Davis did a great job with the Eagles defense picking us up from when we were doing bad. But the problem with Chip Kelly's offense is he goes so fast that the defense is going to be out there all the time. And if we have learned anything in this fucking season is that the 49ers defense is fucking trash. And they're not going to be able to handle the pressure. They're going to be 3 and out on the offense, and the defense is just going to get burned every single time. We're not going to see 30-point games against the 49ers. We're going to see fucking 40-point games against the 49ers. So, I mean, unless the 49ers are thinking about going into the fucking free agency and just picking up a bunch of players, this shit is not going to work. I mean, that's the best thing they can do. I mean, even if they went to the draft and they try picking up defensive players, it's just not going to work in their favor. The only thing that they can do is save draft picks as a result of having Carlos Hyde as a running back, having 2 wide receivers, having Colin Kaepernick as the quarterback, and their offense is pretty much set. That offensive line is still kind of fucked up, but at least they have some pieces to work with. But that defense is fucking shot. Good luck to fucking Chip Kelly and the fucking 49ers, but I don't see that team coming together anytime soon. I mean, maybe he proves me wrong, but we'll see. Let's move on. Let's go to Doug Pederson. Let's go to my my head coach, actually. He was an offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, you know, it hasn't been official yet because he is still in the playoffs with the Kansas City Chiefs, so they can't really make it official until he's, you know, all done there. But I mean, I hope that they go far. I like the Kansas City Chiefs. I like what Andy Reid's doing there, but Jeremy Macklin's kind of beat up. You still don't have Jamal Charles. They could make a run, but we'll see what happens with that in the playoffs. Dan Pederson, this guy's a fucking monster. I mean, it's not like he's done anything that's crazy as hell, but I like the things he has done. First of all, he's worked in Philadelphia under Andy Reid doing the West Coast offense when Andy Reid had his production here. So he already knows how the atmosphere is here. He already knows how to talk to Jeff Lurie. He knows how to act with fucking players. So he has that interpersonal relationships I was talking about before. So I'm glad for that. He has the West Coast offense. I'm not going to say I'm a big fan of it. I'm not going to say I'm not a big fan. But if that's what it took for us to be productive in the past, fuck it. Let's bring it back and let's do it again. And I mean, come on. You can't deny his fucking production with the 49ers. I mean, Alex Smith is being a boss out there, fucking not turning the ball over. Jamal Charles is running like a monster. And yeah, I know Jamal Charles is one of the best running backs in the league. But shit, at least he's got that production value out there. It's just great to have someone who actually knows what the culture is of the Philadelphia Eagles and can probably bring some characteristics back that Andy Reid had to keep the control and the structure of the organization, on his side and on the player side. And I mean, he's coming into a decent situation, especially with having Jamal Charles. You're coming in with DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, and Sproulsy. And I mean, you'll be able to use the running backs to a T at that point. When it comes to the wide receivers, I mean, most of the wide receivers that were with Andy Reid on our team, like, I don't want to say Riley Cooper, he needs to get the fuck off my team. But, I mean, my players can work pretty much in that system. I mean, Josh Huff can catch short passes, medium routes. Jordan Matthews, same thing. He can take it deep too. And I think this is going to help out Nelson Aguilar because it'll be better for his fundamentals and help him work on his route running. So I think that we're actually in a good situation for this. We just need a better offensive line. So Pederson has actually come out openly to talk about what kind of quarterback he wants for his system. I mean, he hasn't, like I said, he hasn't made anything public because he can't say it because he's still in the playoffs with the Kansas City Chiefs. But he has said that he wants someone just like Alex Smith in the sense of somebody who's not going to turn the ball over and someone who's going to be able to use their legs to get out of troubled situations, but also pick up the first down when they need to. And I mean, that sounds great to me. I mean, I know the Kansas City Chiefs aren't making Super Bowl runs at it all the fucking time, but they're making playoff appearances and they're staying competitive in one of the hardest divisions in the fucking NFL against the Broncos. And I don't care what you guys say, the Chargers are pretty good with Phillip Rivers. That offense is actually doing work, and Oakland's starting to pick up. So I mean, the AFC in general is just doing good. And I mean, Kansas City's doing this thing out there. So, but I like his mentality. I mean, picking up a quarterback, focusing on the fact of a quarterback who's not going to throw interceptions. I mean, obviously that's what you want, but I mean, that should be one of your main focuses. I mean, Russell Wilson throws a lot of touchdowns, very little interceptions. Alex Smith, same thing. Tom Brady, same thing. And that's exactly what it takes. It takes being very careful with the ball and not turning it over to make sure you get successful yardage and you're not giving the defense a chance to fuck your offense up and, turn the ball over. So, I mean, thinking about this, though, like, he wants a quarterback who's going to be really, cautious with the ball and use his legs. I'm trying to think about what are options out there. Obviously, Sam Bradford can't be the choice because, one, Sam Bradford doesn't really work well in the West Coast offense with his style, and he can't run. So I'm pretty sure Pederson's just going to say, fuck that, get out of Sam Bradford's way, save some money on that point and not worry about it. But when you look at the options out there, like, there really aren't that many options who can, like, flow with that. There's a lot of speculation going around saying that we might try and pick up Robert Griffin III. And don't get me wrong, man, I still think back to that 2012 season where he was fucking dominating for the Redskins. I mean, yeah, it was a new system, but at the same time, if you look at that shit, like, Robert Griffin was using his legs, he was getting first downs, and the fact that he was on the field made the defense take a guy out the box and allowed more gameplay for the running room on the offensive side of the ball. But the problem is, and this is the biggest difference when you look at RG3 compared to Alex Smith, besides productivity, is that Alex Smith knows how to fucking slide with the football, and that's what makes a running quarterback the most lethal weapon. When he can slide with the football, keep himself safe, get back up and do it all over again, that's what's going to make a running quarterback more productive. Robert Griffin, the problem with him is that he keeps going head first, shoulder first, and he just fucking that's the reason why he keeps getting injured. I mean, and on top of that, you don't need to. I think in the Redskins, he was being pressured so much that he had to run out of the pocket so much that he was just getting hit, and his value was just getting diminished. But I mean, we have seen him throw the ball if he has enough time in the pocket. We have seen him do all these things. And who knows, maybe the West Coast offense is a good thing for him so he can work on his fundamentals the same way the wide receivers can. So, I mean, that's my hope for that. I don't know if we're going to get him. If we do, we might, I mean, it'd be good on a cheap route, maybe like a 2-year deal or whatever. If not, I'm sure he's going to go to another team that's going to want him either as a starter or a backup. But I don't necessarily know if I'd want RG3 just because of his injury-prone history, but we'll see what happens with that. I mean, you can look in the draft like I talked about last week, but the problem is that now as we're getting closer and closer and deeper into the season and closer to the draft scouting and everything like that, a lot of scouts are actually saying the quarterbacks in this fucking offseason are not that prototypical. And I understand that. I mean, there's some quality there, but I honestly think the quality is a lot better than fucking Geno Smith's era. Geno Smith of the New York Jets when he came out. I mean, it was him and EJ Manuel of the Buffalo Bills, and they were seen as the best options out there. And I think the quarterbacks that are coming out this year are just on a whole nother level and doing so much better in college, and will do better in the pros. That being said, I'm trying to think about our options coming out of the draft, and I still want to lean on Paxton Lynch. I mean, I've seen him run. He seems kind of smart with it. I haven't seen a lot of clips with him sliding a lot, but at the same time, a lot of the time when he's running is usually in a red zone situation where the defense is picking up most of the wide receivers, tight ends, or whatever it may be, and he runs because he has an open lane. So at least we know he's smart with the football. I kind of hope Pederson goes with the rookie in the draft just because, even though you're expected to do a lot, like, because he has a relationship with Jeff Lurie, I hope there's some type of leniency there, and I hope the fans will see that too. I mean, that's the thing. I don't want to have a situation where like fucking Jason Garrett of the Cowboys and he's buddy kissing Jerry Jones, the owner's ass, just so he can stay on there. I mean, that's why I think Pederson's going to be a better fit, and I think he's going to be more productive as our head coach. And I just think I honestly think this is a really good fit for us. I was leaning on McAdoo, the offensive coordinator for the Giants, but it was just announced that McAdoo got hired by the Giants as the head coach, and I'm pretty sure that had to do with something with him visiting the Eagles organization. I mean, they probably looked at it. They lost Tom Coughlin, and they were just like, whoa, we can't let this guy go, and we definitely can't let him go to a fucking divisional rival. So they picked him up real quick, made him the head coach. He did his whole announcement and everything today, and he seems really happy about it. You can't deny his productivity either. I mean, he's taken Eli and done a lot more stuff with him. I want to say Eli's interceptions are down, but even if they are, they're probably still the most in the NFL. So I don't really know how that's going to work out. But there was good quality there for picking up a quarterback. And that's just the thing. The biggest problem we're going to have, when we were trying to look for a head coach, was that we have no quarterback. And now that we have the idea that Pederson's going to be our head coach, now we know where he's going to lie, and it's not going to be with Sam Bradford. And I'm not going to say I'm not happy about that. I'm actually really okay with that. I really didn't like Sam that much. Sam's not bad for what he can bring, but I don't think he's going to take us to that next level the way we want to in the playoffs. That being said, I'm not necessarily saying that we're playoff bound already. We definitely have some work to do before we can actually get back to top-notch status the way we were. I hope Bill Davis comes back as the defensive coordinator. I hope they find a way to sign Walter Thurman or Nolan Carroll, because that was the best thing to come out of the season. Everyone's clowning our defense, but at the same time, when the fucking offense is going 3 and out, the defense is going to keep coming back on the field, and they're just going to keep on getting burned out. And even that kept happening, we were still getting a lot of turnovers and things like that. So I think Bill Davis did a great job with the defense. And as long as we can balance out the timing on offense versus defense, I think we'll be set. Yeah, I mean, Pederson, I'm just telling you, man, Pederson's going to be great for us. I honestly think so. I mean, Alex Smith's production's gone up, and Jamal Charles' production has gone up. And that's what shows you what's great from the position. I mean, he was an offensive coordinator. They were putting up points. They were being productive. They weren't turning over the ball. I think he's a great pick, and I hope that this is what brings us back and makes us more competitive. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'd hate. No, fuck it. I'd fucking hate it if the Redskins were the best team in our fucking division. I know Tony Romo was hurt last year, but I don't give a shit. If I find out the Redskins are the best in our division, I'm just gonna go fucking insane. So that can't happen. They need to stay at the bottom where they always were, or at least recently, and we'll be good from there. Speaking about playoffs and divisions, let's just jump into my fucking reactions of what went on in the wild card over the weekend for the fucking NFL. And there were a lot of upsets. I was going fucking crazy watching these games. I mean, start off, let's go to the Minnesota Vikings versus the Seattle Seahawks, where Doug Pederson fucking fumbles the ball as he always has in the playoffs. I think NFL Network said it was like he's been in like 14 playoff appearances, and every single appearance he's fumbled the ball at least once per game. Like, that's fucking nuts. I mean, come on. He's the rushing champion this year, and you got to be your top-notch game in the playoffs, but that turnover definitely fucked them over. I mean, but only fucked them over just to get the Seahawks back into the game. I mean, they were dominating the Seahawks for a majority of the game until really late, and that was only because of turnovers on their part. I mean, but the biggest thing to come out of that fucking game had to be Blair Walsh's missed kick at the end of the game. This kick was at the 27-yard line. Easy chip shot for a regular kicker, especially Blair Walsh, who has like a high percentage rate of making those kicks. And he fucking pushes it to the left. And the whole time before this kick goes off, I'm just saying he's going to miss it. He's going to miss this kick. And my friends and family are just looking at me like, you're fucking nuts. He's not going to miss this shit. And I'm just like, he's made 4 kicks this game already. He made 4 field goals that game already. And I was just like, as the game progresses, the more kicks a field goal kicker has to, perform throughout the game, the percentages go down and down and down. And I was just like, that's the only reason why I think he's going to miss this fucking kick, is because he's kicked so many field goals throughout the game already. On top of that, the pressure, it was fucking freezing out there. Like, there's so many conditions. On top of that, everybody's been clowning him because the laces were actually facing him, when naturally when a field goal kicker goes to kick the ball, they're usually facing away from the kicker and towards the goalpost. And I've just seen so many fucking memes about, laces out from Ace Ventura when what was it? Ray Finkel missed that, that alleged Super Bowl winning kick for the Miami Dolphins, and I've just been dying all week. Laces out. But yeah, man, I couldn't believe it. The Seahawks, they're always making a fucking run towards the Super Bowl every single year, but this year I really didn't think. I honestly thought there was going to be a huge upset. I thought the Vikings were going to take it, and then this was a way for the Seattle Seahawks to get some realization that they can't always make a deep run at it, and the fucking Minnesota Vikings blow it. They missed this kick, and I don't blame Blair Walsh. I never blame a kicker on a game-winning kick. Don't get me wrong. That you have one job to do, and you get paid for it. But the point of the offense, the point of the quarterback, the point of the running back, the point of the wide receivers is to never put your kicker in that situation. The only time a kicker needs to really do his job is when you're losing by a substantial amount and you need points to keep the momentum going on your team. If it's about to be halftime and the game is, 7-0, and you can't get all the way down the field to score a fucking touchdown, that's where the kicker comes into play. He kicks his field goal, makes the game 7-3, and you still have a fighting chance against the opposing team. And that the game should never be decided on a field goal kick. That's why I don't blame Blair Walsh. It just sucks because that is how he's going to feel throughout the entire offseason. This guy, I got to believe, he's going to work his ass off to never miss another field goal because of letting everybody down and the pressure of, they actually missing that fucking field goal. So I can only imagine how he's feeling. And I know that organization is just devastated, especially when you had the chance to win against pretty much the top. I wouldn't say the top team in the NFL, but they are one of the top teams in the NFL, constantly producing every year. and constantly making a deep run to the playoffs. I mean, 2 Super Bowl appearances. They constantly make playoff appearances. I mean, you had a chance to knock off one of the top dogs and show that you really belong there, and they fucking blew it. I just feel bad for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I'm not gonna say it. Eagles were there. Eagles were there. We fucking dominate. Nah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we fucking dominate. Cody Parkey ain't missing no kicks, even though he was kind of injured. Make that shit on one leg. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we dominate. Moving on, we'll talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals were going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big divisional game. I mean, first of all, it's the playoffs, but these 2 teams are divisional rivals, in case you didn't know. And they go back and forth all the time, every year, nonstop. There's there's a big rivalry there from history and everything. And I mean, you talk to the offensive linemen, especially from the Bengals, and they're just like that. There's a huge level of disrespect coming from that team when they verse. Like, people are talking about getting spit on, this and that, and it's just fucking crazy. Pretty much what happened was that the Steelers won the game, but the only reason that they won the game, the Bengals were actually up in the game and were winning, and all they had to do was hold on to the ball and kill the clock. Jeremy Hill, the running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, gets the ball and fumbles the ball, I believe, on a 3rd down, turning the ball over to the opposing team when all he had to do was get a first down. He didn't even have to get a first down, just hold on to the fucking ball. I think there was like a minute left on the clock, and once you run a ball on a 3rd down, you automatically take 40 seconds off the clock after a run, as long as they don't call a timeout. And he fucking fumbles the ball, gives it back to the Steelers. But the crazy thing is, this isn't. I mean, that's the starting point of the turn of events. I mean, that's what started everything. Steelers get the ball back with like a minute left on the clock, and they're trying to get the ball downfield. And I think it's like they're moving it little by little. And I mean, they're talking about a team who doesn't have D'Angelo Williams, their running back, anymore. And Ben Roethlisberger got hurt during the game and ended up tearing some ligaments in his throwing shoulder. And he just he comes back in the game, and you could feel that the Cincinnati Bengals, when they turned the ball over, the entire stadium, because they were at the Bengal Stadium, you could feel the air, you could feel and see the air being sucked out of that stadium, because all the fans were like, oh my God, like, no, don't bring Ben back in the game to fucking win this game for him. And I was just thinking that, I was like, I would feel the exact same way if, like, we're versing the Patriots or something, Tom Brady goes out and he comes right back in, like, I'd be fucking shitting my pants. But Ben comes in, moves the ball little by little, and what ends up happening is he throws a deep ball to try and get to Antonio Brown, but it kind of he overthrows him a bit. Antonio's not able to get it, and fucking Burfett's one of the defensive players for the Cincinnati Bengals linebacker. He comes across and hits Antonio Brown in the fucking head, helmet to helmet, and Antonio Brown like spins out of control and fucking falls to the ground, and it's obvious that he's got like a serious concussion. And it's funny because they've been going back and forth with this. Burfett's just like, he's been faking it the whole time, and the only way he's going to believe him and apologize to Antonio Brown is if he sits out. And it was just announced today that Antonio Brown will be sitting out for the Steelers against the Denver Broncos. So they're pretty much fucked. I mean, Steelers don't have, Ben Roethlisberger's still in there, but his ligaments are messed up in his shoulder. Antonio Brown's not going to play. D'Angelo Williams, the running back, is still injured. I mean, good luck. I mean, don't get me wrong. We don't know if Peyton's seriously top notch, but at the same fucking time, that's still one of the best defenses in the league in the Denver Broncos. And I think they're pretty much fucked. I think Denver gets to walk into, the finals of the AFC, no problem. Anyway, getting back to the game itself. So Antonio Brown gets smashed helmet to helmet and ends up going into a pass interference play against the defense. Takes them all the way down into, I'll say, about the 40 or 30 for pass interference. And they're already at a point where they can just kick the field goal and win the game. They're literally down a field goal. All they need to do is get the field goal and they win the game. And what happens after that? Pac-Man Jones freaking ends up touching a referee or touching one of the opposing coaches in an inappropriate way, and he gets another fucking penalty put on him, pushing them back 10 more yards. And at that point, like, they're in the fucking Bengals stadium. You can see the fans just being completely destroyed. I mean, we're talking about fucking Marvin Lewis, the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, who constantly makes it to the playoffs and is ridiculed for losing in the first round every single fucking year in the playoffs. And this was a chance for him and the Bengals to redeem themselves and say, you know what, every single fucking year we get knocked out the first round, we're not getting knocked out this year. And they got far, and they still fucking blew it. And it comes down to bad management on Marvin Lewis's part of taking care of your players, but also comes down to just how the fucking players are acting. Like, Burfict can't be like just hitting whoever the hell he wants. He has a history of doing that. And Pac-Man Jones is a veteran. He should know better than to put his hands on anybody else, especially officials. But yet again, the Bengals blow another fucking playoff appearance just so that they, have attitude problems. And Marvin Lewis, if they didn't have a productive season this year and didn't go undefeated for a large majority of the season, he'd be out of there. I'm convinced he'd be out of there. But I mean, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And the worst thing about all this is fucking Andy Dalton, who was the quarterback for the Bengals, who was dominating. He didn't play in that game with a messed up hand, but he would have been ready to go next week. So if they beat the fucking Steelers, who now have no real chance against the Broncos, they would have beat the Steelers and they would have got their top-notch quarterback back, and they probably would have had a serious shot at actually making the Super Bowl with the production that team was able to pull off. It's just fucking crazy. And that's just how the playoffs are, though. I mean, it sucks to work your ass off to get to the playoffs all year round, and you just fucking fall to pieces, or you just lose. I mean, the Texans got fucking destroyed, but it's just that and that's got to hurt more. Like, maybe if there was a double elimination in the playoffs and there was a loser bracket or whatever, maybe it would make them feel better. But you have to give it your all every single game. Otherwise, you're going to fucking just fall flat on your face and just get sent home. And that's the problem. When you give it all every single game, especially in the playoffs, you pretty much are running out of gas. And that's what we end up seeing later and later into the season. And that's why the Super Bowl has to have that week in between where the Pro Bowl goes on to give these players a break. One last thing to talk about before we end off the show is the whole migration of the new stadium being built in LA. Now, in case you didn't know, the LA or the Los Angeles area has had football teams in the past. They've had the LA Rams and the LA Raiders before they were the Oakland Raiders and the St. Louis Rams. Problem was, and the reason why these teams moved, was a lack of fans. Fans weren't coming to see the games, fans weren't paying, and these teams were just losing a lot of money. So these organizations thought, and it's similar to when the original Browns decided to move to Baltimore because they weren't getting enough revenue. So what's going on right now is that Los Angeles has got a new stadium that's being built there. And the funny thing about it is that the St. Louis Rams owner is the one building the stadium. And he's spending, like, I think the total amount to build that stadium is $1.3 billion. And he's the one who owns the land. So it's already been said in the news that that the St. Louis Rams are going to go to LA and become the LA Rams again. And this is causing all types of controversy in St. Louis. You got the fucking mayor coming out of his office just talking about how they feel betrayed by St. Louis, how they were willing to build them a new stadium in St. Louis, and they want that extra team, they want to support them, and the fans are fucking going crazy because obviously if you live in St. Louis, I mean, I'd go fucking crazy just thinking about my team moving. I mean, I live in Jersey, but if I lived it's not even that far from Philly. If the Philadelphia Eagles were just picked up one day and said, we're going to be the Oregon Eagles now or whatever maybe, I would fucking lose my mind. Not being able to see my team play, not being able to drive down and see the stadium and see my like other fans, and feel that family vibe you get when you go to a fucking football game. I think I'd lose my mind. And it really sucks for the fans of the St. Louis Rams. I mean, yeah, you guys aren't giving a lot of money. You're not getting a lot of revenues out of it. But at the same time, you guys have the Cardinals in baseball and everything, so you're getting money. I just guess the Rams just felt like they had so much more of a fan base in LA after they left now, and they've built up a fan base that they can go back there and just get more money out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, though. The owner's not stupid, though. He's making this stadium so big and so luxurious that he plans to put I think I don't know, like maybe shopping malls inside or things like that. It's going to be like a dome type thing. So what he plans on doing is he plans to have a lot of, venue events there, concerts, other sporting events, college football games, college national championships. And by doing that, not only is he going to get the revenue back for his team when they play there, on their home games when they become the LA Rams again, he's also going to gain a bunch of revenue from all these other organizations that are going to come in there asking to use the territory to fund their events. So, I mean, he's playing a really, really smart card right there. And especially in LA where you have such a, the Hollywood style lifestyle out there, he's definitely going to be promoting and definitely going to be getting a lot of money from that. The problem with this for any team that joins, because right now the Chargers are the front runners to be the co-owners, because this stadium is so big that it kind of needs two owners to secure the revenue to make it. So, I mean, I guess the owner of the Rams owns the land, but to make the building would be like $1.3 billion, and he doesn't want to supply all that money because it would take too much time to generate it all back. So what's end up happening is that the San Diego Chargers are in the process of moving there, and so are the Oakland Raiders. And right now the Chargers are the front runners, but there is also the possibility that the Chargers could get their own stadium in San Diego if San Diego decides they want to, fork over the money and pay to have a new stadium built for them. Honestly, either way, if it's the Chargers or the Raiders, it's a fucked up situation for them. I'll get to that in a minute, but I honestly wish it was the Raiders that were going. I mean, it's great for them to be in Oakland, but if you've watched the Oakland Raiders play at a home game, they fucking play on a baseball field. Like they lease out the territory for their sporting events to the point where you see the baseball field on the football field. And I mean, that's got to hurt the players just thinking like, wow, we don't even have enough money to really get our own place and call this our own. And that's the problem that the Raiders are facing and the Chargers are facing anyway. I think they both lease their stadiums. And as a result of that, they're not gaining the amount of revenue that they want. What ends up happening in my mind, and I believe this is the way it would work, otherwise it doesn't make sense, is that if you own the territory and you own the stadium, you gain 100% of the revenue. If you're leasing the stadium, then you're not going to get 100% of the revenue. And that's the problem, what's going on. And one of the biggest controversies that's going on is that the Rams owner wants to keep 100% of the revenue when it's his home games and 100% of the revenue for all the events that are going to be going on in the stadium. So what ends up happening, and this is the problem for the Raiders or the Chargers if they decide to go there, is by going there, they're not going to collect revenue when other events are going on. So how are they really going? They're kind of pretty much leasing part of the property to be there, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it, because they're leaving their territory to go to another territory to lease that area. So how is that fucking fair? You're going to leave, you're going to go there, and then you're going to tell me you can make, I don't know, let's just say $5 million off of a concert that goes on there, and it's all going to go to the Rams. Like, that guy is a fucking genius for doing that. But at the same time, it gives more of an incentive to the Raiders and the Chargers to just stay in their own areas and try to work out a deal with their cities to try and make them a stadium. We'll still see what's going on. The Chargers haven't confirmed that they're going to take that part of the deal and be there, and the Raiders are still working on their stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure both of those teams would rather have a stadium in their own place that they can collect most of the revenue from. But at the same time, the LA area is just too good to pass up. I mean, the weather's great. The fans are great. San Diego and Oakland both have huge fan base in LA, and for the most part, when it comes to the Chargers stadium, half the stadium is filled up with the opposing team or fucking Raiders fans or whatever it may be. So we're gonna see how this develops. We're gonna see how this turns out. But as for now, the St. Louis Rams have definitely confirmed that they're going to LA, and I think until then, they're probably going to be either using a college stadium for their sporting events, because I think once they decide to go to LA, they no longer have the rights to the property in their own state. So we'll see how that works out. But I mean, the stadium is not even set to be finished being built till 2019. So I mean, there's gonna be a lot of money lost in the process until they officially get moved into the stadium. But like I said, this is a developing story, and we'll see how that turns out as time goes by. That seems to be everything we got for episode 3 of Easy on My Eagles, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, like, subscribe, leave a review, and as always, comments at Easy on My Eagles on Twitter. You know, any type of reactions or whatever may be, and I'll be sure to talk about them and, whatever may be. I'm just taking the show slow, going week by week, and just working my way up. I hope you guys are liking the content that's coming out, and as we're going through week by week, it's just going to get better. So, as always, guys, please, no, seriously, please, take it easy on my Eagles. No, seriously, take it easy.